My name is Bob Jayco, and many of you will know me as the Editor-in-Chief of Co-Creation magazine. But for this particular broadcast, I want to share with you another aspect of myself, something that has been very private for many, many years, which I am now happy to reveal and to share with you today. And this particular sharing is about a process and an aspect of myself that began when I was 10. At that age, I was in a place where I was badly abused and I inverted into myself. And a voice started talking to me, a voice, a loving voice, a wise voice, and a friend. You could say that it was my internal voice, or I called it the presence. Now, this voice has been with me for over 60 years. And this voice, or this presence, has been my navigation tool, my tool for understanding the world. It has helped me to synchronize, manifest, and learn about the process of co-creation. In this journey, which started at the age of 10, I learnt to trust the presence, or this inner voice. I learnt to trust it implicitly. I listened to it. It was actually more than just intuition. It was a consciousness which overrided my own personal consciousness. It was a loving presence which gave me hope, solace, and comfort in many of the dark times that I encountered or that I had manifested throughout my life. I will actually tell you the full version of my story, but today I just want to introduce this portion of myself in a very short video, and to do that I need to cut it down. As I said, the presence has been with me for 60 years, right throughout my 20s, 30s, 50s, and right up to today. I actually never knew exactly what it was that was transmitting to me or talking to me until 2012, when I had a conversation with this, you could say, this data stream of consciousness, and it revealed itself as, in these words: we are you. We are the source of all things. We are the essence and the beginning and the end of everything. We are infinite wisdom. And I said, okay, we've been together for that long, and it wasn't really a great surprise, because it began to identify itself as this loving source entity, and things began to come together. Why all the period of my life I was able to manifest and co-create synchronicities, events, circumstances, and lead a life which was more or less between two worlds. I was able to navigate the world of unconscious, well, that's probably not the correct word, the world of the unseen and the world of the physical. And in fact, this association with this energy was about teaching me how to recognize and how to navigate and to begin to use that essence and that energy to begin to understand and indeed create the life I was meant to lead. In 2012, as I said, we had this conversation. And what happened is that the energy, which I used to call the presence, said, well, we cannot be labelled, but humans really prefer some sort of identity or labelling system. So the energy said, call us soul. And I said, oh, okay, is that like soul, S-O-U-L? And they said, no, it is spelt S-O-L, and it stands for signals of love, because that is what we are. That is what this consciousness is. And this consciousness is you. And when we project this consciousness to others, it is also them as well. In 2012, when I began to ask this consciousness what it was, where it came from, and for me, the experience with soul is like a conversation with a normal human being. I hear the words and they sort of resonate through my head. And in this particular scenario, if I was doing what I call the soul conversation, soul would actually speak its words through my voice box. I'm not going to do that today, but we will actually do soul conversations in the future. In the discussions with soul, I asked them why they were here, why they were transmitting me or through me at this point in time. And the answers were really quite interesting. And they said this. They said, you have been chosen, and you have chosen to work with us since you undertook and accepted our presence at the age of 10. And we have been with you all that time to enhance your physical abilities, to enhance your capabilities as a clear and concise and simple deliverer of our messages. Now, soul's messages are not new. They have been around since man could walk on two legs. And they have been delivered by other humans that we call avatars, prophets, seers. And those messages have always been the same. And those messages are really, you are the co-creators of your total experience, of your total universe, without exception. On that line of discussion, I said, well, why are we here? And the answer was, you are here to experience. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. There is no difference between a good or a bad experience. It is just an experience. And the experience is a jumping point, a benchmark, a springboard to understanding that you either like the experience or you don't like the experience, which gives you the choices of continuing with the experience or changing the experience, making a choice to move to another place so your life is different. And when we discussed the process of why there is a duality system in the physical world, soul said to me, it is the basic structure that you, and when I talk about you, me, you, everybody who is source, that was created so you can begin to transform and evolve. Now, if you think about it in this way, that there are 7 billion people experiencing everything. And in many ways, if we are just here to be a pipeline or a conduit of Source itself, that as we grow and we build all of these experiences, they go back to singularity, to the Source that created all things. It itself expands. Because Soul said to me, when you, he calls humanity or we self. We are both the singularity and a collective. So we're both. So when the we self decided it was going to evolve itself, because when it awoke, it knew everything. It had no experience of anything. And basically the process of expansion of universes is about creating more physical experiences. Not just in the human terms. I'm talking about universal terms. In human terms, it is whatever we do on the planet. So that really makes sense, because, if we are really the conduit and we are the projection of Source, singularity, and we are here to learn and grow, evolve, transform, transmute and heal, then everything an individual does and everything a collective does is for the individual or collective experience. And those experiences are generated by choices. The choice to evolve or not evolve, the choice to co-create or co-destruct. Because nobody said that we cannot co-destruct. We are in a duality experience. So co-creation sits side by side with co-destruction. And if you look at the world right now, we're doing both. We're co-creating and we're destroying at the same time. The question is, I posed to Soul, I said, well, how can we correct that? How can we begin to change the way we act and behave in a physical world so that we don't destroy ourselves or the planet in the progression of evolving? And the answer was that, become conscious. Just that, become conscious. Assist others to become conscious. And that's why Soul is here today. Many of the messages you will hear in the forthcoming weeks, months and years, you'll have heard before. You'll say, yes, I've heard that before. And I say to you, you may have heard it, but are you practicing it? Do you practice it every day? Do you practice those messages and put them into practice with yourself and with others in the physical world? And if the answer is no, then you've still got a little bit of a way to go. On the other hand, those messages have been distributed like pieces of a jigsaw. They have been given to teachers, influencers, avatars, seers, prophets all around the world. Even today, there is more of this information out there in their own pods, in their own groups. And everybody has a piece of the story, but everybody also changes the original story to create their own stories. And this is why right now we see lots of stories being told in the internet place, because people's stories are important because they attract those in a similar vibration. So if you have a really great story, you'll find you attract people that have a similar great story. If you have a not so great story, you'll find you'll have people coming to you that have been through a different place. We are polarized to attract people in our same vibration. But in the course of the discussion with Soul, I entered into into a conversation about what it is necessary. Why now? Why at this point in the human time frame is this happening? Saul said this. He said, first of all, you have built a thing called the internet. And the internet is actually a projection of how we are connected on the non-physical plane. Every human being is connected, but we are disengaged from the experiences of somebody in Ethiopia or Syria or South America, because our local mind has only the ability to process at the local level. But it doesn't mean that there isn't an effect of those people or those collectives in those countries on the rest of the globe. So the internet is really a technological projection of how we are connected. And the internet has given us the ecology to be able to transmit all sorts of information, and typical as a human species are, the information is correct, or it's filtered, or it's been respun, or it's the truth, or it's not the truth. So it's up to you as an individual to discern what you're listening to and what you're hearing and what you're seeing as whether it resonates with you. And that's the ability to use your intuition. The other thing about it is what is going on now, and it's been going on for a long time, probably since the 60s and 70s. We see the amalgamation and the emergence of collectives. Now, this is the age of the collective consciousness. This is the age when people are getting together who are forming movements and collectives for transformational change, both local and global. And Soul's message to these collectives is that you are still in separation. You are still one collective over here, another collective over there, but you're not talking to each other. You're not getting together to make it a larger and more powerful system, a more powerful movement. And so the story that Sol was telling me is that we need around 300 million people to create an influence tipping point to affect those who are still unawake. So the collective, and this is, if you're in this genre, in this field of transformational work, you'll understand that this is going on. Your technology such as Facebook and other social media are creating these pods of communities and of friends and of groups that are coming together with a similar page and a similar vibration. And these groups, they are either by themselves or some connect with each other. But essentially, they still stay separate as separate groups. And Soul's message is, let's connect and collect and move everybody together to create that global change. There is one other thing that I wish you to understand, that we are entering a new phase of human experience. Indeed, Sol mentioned that as from 2015, there are new children arriving with an extra strand of DNA. Sol calls it humanity 2, the evolved human. And these children are not yet, there's not many of them. There are a few of them, but as each year increases, we are at 2019, more and more children will be born with this particular strand. Scientists have found it. They know it exists. They don't know what it does. But Sol says it is the consciousness strand. They will come into the world almost fully awake. and understanding their origins, and begin to, you'll see these young people emerge as leaders and new thinkers for the next 100 years. So that's my experience with soul. I'm just really talking about sharing that with you to understand what I have experienced with conversations with soul. Now, we have agreed that over the next few years, as long as I'm around, soul will appear on every available media, and we will actually deliver soul messages, soul conversations about whatever questions you have to ask. In a sense, soul also said the whole process of transformation is not about the answers. It's about asking the questions, the right questions. So that when humanity is asking the right questions, it's getting the correct answers, the right answers. And in that case, when you get the right answers, you all can move in the right direction. So thank you for listening to me. I am most privileged to be able to present this to you today, and I look forward to many, many hours of soul conversations over the coming weeks, months and years. Thank you so much. I am most blessed, and lots of love to you all.